All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Science Safe Sharks. My name is Ralph, and I will be your host for this evening. I'm a marine biologist at Marine Dynamics, and on this channel, we talk all about how we use science to find out more information about the shark species in our area and that you can apply all around the world. Now, for those of you who haven't seen this channel before, please visit our Facebook and YouTube channel, and there are all our previous videos posted, so you can catch up on what we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks. Now, on Wednesday, we discussed the topic of using lasers to study sharks, and we had with us Alina. Hi, Alina, and welcome back.
Hello, everyone. Hello for the newcomers. Welcome to our live sessions. And to those who already been with us, guys, welcome back. And hopefully we're going to get to answer all your questions today.
Absolutely. So for those of you who did catch our Wednesday session, if you do have any questions, please put them into the comment box with hashtag ScienceSafeSharks, and hopefully we'll get to them throughout this episode. But before we actually get into a few of the offline questions that we had, Alina, do you want to give us a quick recap of what we discussed on Wednesday?
Absolutely, of course. Alrighty, guys. So last Wednesday, we did talk about laser photogrammetry, and we talk about a little different methods how to collect measurements. And when I say measurements, we did focus on size, sex, and also sexual maturity. So there are different ways to go around collecting that data. Some are more destructive than others, but we focused on photogrammetry, which is a very hands-off method to collect the data. And guys, we did focus on the paper that you can see at the bottom of the screen. This is determination of size, sex, and maturity stage of free-swimming cat sharks using laser photogrammetry. So guys, this is a paper written by our former colleague, Toby Rogers. And guys, if you do want to read it and just to go a little bit more in depth on that topic, you're very welcome to visit our Dire Island Conservation Trust website, www.dict.org.za, and you're very welcome to go our publications and read through the paper. However, yeah, guys, we just focused about, we talked about different setups, how laser photogrammetry works, that it's two lasers with a camera in front of it, and that the laser, it acts as a scale bar for the still image, and the measurements are taken from that still image. So it's a very cool way of actually collecting data without touching the sharks, without handling the sharks. So it's very, very, very helpful for us to actually do that, and without trying to affect the population or affect the different individuals. Alrighty, guys, and today we're going to come around and try to answer your questions.
Hello, Zane, and hello, Marie. Hopefully you'll find this very interesting.
It's lasers. Kids love lasers. Hello. Hi, Adrian.
All right. So, Alina, let's get into some of our offline questions that were passed on to us. So the first one that we had was, is this the only hands-off way of taking these measurements? And is it also the most accurate way?
Yeah, of course. So as we discussed last Wednesday, we did talk about visual estimates, and we did agree, both of us, that visual estimates is not the most accurate way to go around collecting the data on the size, simply because it's very, very rare that two people on the boat would agree on the size of the animal that we see in front of us. So it is very, very cheap and easy way of collecting data, but it's not very accurate. So there is the great method that can be used in the wild. It's called stereophotogrammetry. It is a little bit more expensive and does require more budget to analyze the image as well. So what you need for this method is you need two angled camera, and you would point it at an animal in front of you. And this way you don't just get a two-dimensional image, you would get actually a three-dimensional image. And from that three-dimensional image, you can get the measurements. However, as I said, it is more expensive. It is a little bit more difficult to work with, and it does need some calibrating that is, again, very cost effective, but also the software that you use to analyze it is expensive as well. So the cost, it does add up, and it can be accurate, but it's not as cheap, it's not as easy. So I would stick with laser photogrammetry at this point if you were looking for the most effective and cost effective and also the accurate way.
All right. Yeah, I've seen something with stereo photogrammetry, something similar used with the BRUVs, where you look at the length of mostly fish species, but also shark species using the two cameras. So yeah, I'm aware of like the costs behind it.
Absolutely. Also, they do use it for the assessment of the coral reefs. It's a little bit different. It's the stereo video, so it's not the still footage, but yes, they do use the pretty much very similar technique behind that. There's the other way. As I said before, that as long as there is a scale bar on the photo, you can take the measurement of an animal. And there has been researches with terrestrial animals where they would put the scale bar, the obviously known size scale bar, next to the animal and next to the bait, and they would take the pictures with a trap camera. And again, it can be done. However, with aquatic species, it's a little bit more difficult. It's a little bit more difficult to actually position them the way you want them to be positioned. So with lasers, the advantage is that as long as those beams hit the flank of the animal, there is a scale ready for you already there.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that answer. That was quite interesting. Now, actually, I kind of want to go into our next question as well. Adrian is asking, what sharks are in the bay currently?
Well,
Alina,
that's actually that's a very good question. I would like to know as well. To be fair, I haven't been in the water for a long time. The last time I was there were bronze whalers, there were copper sharks, and also great white sharks. I wouldn't know what's happening right now, to be fair. Do you know, Ralph?
No, unfortunately not. Unfortunately, as a result of like lockdown and lately the weather as well. Last week we had a massive storm coming through, so unfortunately we haven't been able to go out to sea in unfortunately quite a while. Yeah, so yeah, otherwise, Alina, do you want to give us like an indication of, say, the smaller sharks that might be in the bay around here?
Well, I did see, unfortunately, a dead specimen of a puff adder shy shark was on the beach. It was a very, very sad view, but there are around. It means they are around. So there are cat sharks, and that's the ones that I've seen.
Yeah. So yeah, you do get quite a variety of species around here. So like the cat sharks, but the cat sharks are a broad family of species. So you get your puff adders that you just mentioned. We've got our dark shy sharks, but also our pajamas and our leopard cat sharks. And they're more found along the reefs around here. Then, yeah, what we work with mostly out on the boat, we've got our great whites and bronze whalers. But unfortunately, again, we don't know whether they're still there, mainly because we haven't been able to go out to sea, unfortunately. And yeah, so there are a few studies that look at the different shark species that we get in this area as well. Now, talking about the wild, Alina, on Wednesday you discussed this laser photogrammetry, and Toby Rogers has used it in an aquarium setup. And you showed a few images of more of like a handheld device using this method. Now, how difficult is it actually to go out into the wild and point the thing at a wild animal and hope you get the right measurement?
So yeah, guys, the cat shark that I showed before with Toby's research, guys, as I said, you're very welcome to just go and check out his paper as well, or our previous video as well. Thank you, AJ. Thank you for your question.
You're very welcome.
I
Let us
hope
know
you
if you want a more
answered
expansive answer.
Alrighty, and this is obviously that was a controlled environment. So there was a controlled environment in the laboratory, and the Hero 3 GoPro was used with the 2 lasers. But as I mentioned before, like with any method, there are some limitations, and working with wild animals, the most difficult part is to make them do what you want them to do. So in our case, to swim perpendicular to the camera and make sure those beams actually hit the flank. There are some ways to maximize the success. I'd say it's just to maximize the amount of lasers that you would put out there. Just it will increase the chances of the shark actually hitting at least 2 of those laser beams, and which you can still use for the scale, because all the beams, they will be equally distanced from each other. So that would be the way to go around.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Now, can you take this method and apply it to like an animal from any distance or like from any angle? Is there like a minimum or a maximum distance that you can use this with? Or
So yeah, absolutely. I can show you actually the graph that was used in the paper that we were talking about.
all
There we
right.
go. I'm just gonna let me put it up. And guys, as I talked about the angle, it does depend what kind of angle it is at, because 90% that's what you're aiming for, and that's the more precise and accurate measurement that you can get. As soon as it changes, it would obviously the error will occur there. However, guys, with distance, it is different as well. I'm so sorry, guys. I need to share the screen. I'm sorry for that. Sorry about that, guys.
No worries.
All right. But as I was saying, guys, I'm trying to show you the graphs of how it would look like. And we're almost there. And there we go. There we go.
All right.
So guys,
Okay, so what do we have here?
What we have here, we have the graph on the left, and this is our distance. So it shows that for the Toby's research, the perfect distance that was around 75 centimeters. And as that distance grew, the error increased as well. But of course, it would differ from one species to another. So as you can see that with the shark, it's quite a small animal. So of course it would be a little bit different, for example, with great white sharks or whale shark, because if you use 75 centimeters for a great white shark, it would simply not fit in the camera. And as I discussed, the angle as well. So 90%, that's what you're aiming for. And as soon as it changes, the error occurs as well. So there we go,
Right.
guys.
So going about those white sharks, like you would definitely like maybe adjust your laser, the distance between the lasers as well, because it's a bigger animal, and if the lasers are too close to one another, you also increase the error rate there, right?
So, of course, I mean, it's kind of a common sense that you would go around and adjust the distance between the lasers if you're using it on the small animals or larger animals. However, if you are using it on large animals, I wouldn't put them too far apart, because you do want that not to be too long, simply because of the flex of the animal and the camera distortion as well. So that may affect it as well. That's why with large animals and small animals, we're not focusing on the total length. We are focusing on the certain parts of their body. With sharks, it usually would be dorsal fins. And using the ratio of their bodies, we would calculate their total length.
All right, that's fascinating. Now, is there like a certain distance underwater where after a certain amount, like keeping visibility into account as well, that after a certain amount that the lasers start bending or something like that, like due to water refraction? Or is that something?
So obviously the paper that we are using as an example, it is underwater. So the GoPro is underwater, the shark is underwater as well. The reflection or camera distortion, it shouldn't be that much of a problem as long as it's not too far away, and as long as the visibility is pretty good as well. So it shouldn't be the problem.
All right, that's perfect. Now, so what would happen like if you would take a shot from, say, above the water and the animal is underwater? Would that be possible as well?
It is possible. I would say the error might be a little bit bigger, simply because of the reflection of the water and the different weather conditions and stuff like that. So underwater would be, I would say, the perfect way to go around doing that.
All right. Thank you so very much for your answers. Now, if we don't have any further questions, Alina, do you have something for us to show while we wait for an additional video? Additional questions to come through?
Yes, absolutely. I actually prepared the video just to prove how difficult, guys, it is to work with wild animals and how difficult it is to make them do whatever we want them to do. As Ralph knows, this is Bravs, guys. Bravs is baited remote underwater video. And guys, you can see a white shark trying to pick it up for us. So if we use the Bravs to actually try and get the footage of the animal and take measurements from that, you can see how actually difficult it can be to do that, because obviously all that shark wants to do is to play with Brav.
Yeah,
But it's
so
a
as you
great,
can
absolutely
see,
great
he's
footage.
absolutely amazing footage. But like as it just shows you, it's like he always comes in from the wrong angle, and if you want him absolutely perpendicular to the video, he needs to come by a few more times before you get lucky and get the right angle.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. We have AJ here again. Have you used ultrasonic beams? Personally, haven't. Personally, haven't heard about that quite. Ralph, have you heard anything about that?
No, I believe ultrasonic beams are used more to get a sense of the geology underwater. So I believe it's more the oil and gas industry that would use that. And based on like the reflection of the sound that comes back, they are able to tell what's below the surface. So I don't think it's very useful with a biological animal.
I'll say with most ultrasound beam, wouldn't get the very accurate measurements of a shark if you do try to work it on actually live matter.
Exactly. Um, so if we don't have any further questions come through, then I think what we're going to do is we're slowly going to wrap up this episode. So Alina, I want to thank you so very much for joining us once again and providing us with some very interesting answers, just going a little bit more in depth into the topic.
Thank you, Ralph, so much for having us. Guys, for those who tuned in and asked questions, thank you so much. It means a lot to us. And guys, please, if you did miss some of our videos, you're very welcome to just catch up with them on our YouTube and Facebook channels. Guys, do subscribe to our YouTube channels. Besides the Science Safe Sharks sessions, there's also some new stuff and some new content coming up. So please stay tuned and stay with us and our awesome shark stuff. Not only sharks, also all the Marine 5.
The whole Marine Big Five, absolutely. And yeah, so for those of you who watch this video at a later time, if you do have any more, if you do have questions as well, please pop them into our comment box as well, and hopefully we'll get to them on a more personal basis. So thank you so very much for joining us. So the paper that Alina described, hello Marilise, welcome. I hope you enjoyed the episode. So the paper that Alina described is on our website. So please visit www.dict.org.za and you're able to read it there for free, amongst our other scientific publications. So science doesn't mean very much if you don't share it with the general public. And if you like what you are reading there and you enjoy what we are doing, and you want to help us out in these days, these times, please visit our donation box as well. Any little bit helps, and all of it goes to the conservation and research of our marine area. Alina, is there anything else that you would like to mention before we sign off?
So guys, just want to mention the next week. Oh, there's another question. A quick question: is the penguin program still running during lockdown? So our penguin program, I think what was meant is apps. So our African penguin and seabird sanctuary. So guys, there are birds over there, and we are trying to take care of them and release them as they are well enough to actually go back into the wild. And yes, we are still taking care of them. So there are still penguins there. Guys, if you want, you actually can follow our apps on Facebook as well. And follow them. They do come up with live videos and showing how they take care of the animals, how they release them. So it is still going, of course, because we can't just give up on our little penguins even during the lockdown times.
Absolutely, yeah. So there is still stuff coming through on a daily basis, just to make sure that these guys are well fed, well looked after, and that they also can return home as soon as they are better.
Hello, Aleta.
Hello, Aleta.
I miss
Hope you are
you.
doing well.
Alrighty, guys, and next week, please tune in for more of our sessions. And it is actually going to be Ralph giving interview next week, Wednesday, and Kelly is going to be the one hosting it. So, guys, please tune in for more interesting stuff about sharks. And we're also looking forward to seeing you next week.
All right. And one last thing before we sign off. So for those of you who really enjoyed this channel and maybe want a more in-depth one-on-one session with any of our marine biologists, please email us at academy@marinedynamicstravel.com. So there's the email address. And there we can organize one-on-one mentor sessions. And depending on what you are looking for and the type of information that you're looking for, hopefully we'll be able to develop something to your liking. So yeah, if you're interested in mentor sessions, please contact us on this email address. But yeah, once again, Alina, thank you so very much for joining us this evening, and hope that everybody really enjoyed the talk, hope that they learned something new, and hope that they enjoyed themselves. So yeah, that's it from us at Marine Dynamics, and thank you so very much for joining us, and hope you have an absolutely fantastic weekend.
Thank you all so much. And yes, thank you, everyone, and have a great weekend. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.